Nothing contained in this podcast should be considered a substitute for professional medical advice. This content does not represent our respective employers and is purely the opinion of the podcast hosts. We are not your personal medical providers. Sorry, friends. So, if you have concerns or are seeking a diagnosis or treatment, please seek individual advice from a healthcare provider in your area. We are not liable for any risks associated with acting upon the information contained in this podcast. This is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only, so enjoy the ride.
Please drink responsibly and in moderation. Before drinking, please be sure to be of the legal drinking age for your country. We do not encourage the misuse of alcohol.
Here I come. You can't hide. I'm gonna find you and take it slowly. Sorry.
Say the thing.
What thing? Oh, wait, you recorded already? I didn't realize you hit start. Okay. So welcome to Medical Media Mixer, the perfect cocktail. I'm Nicole Peniston, psychologist.
And I'm Tara Briscoe.
Drunk either. We haven't even started drinking yet.
Physician assistant. That was Nicole singing Ready or Not by the Fugees or
Yes,
Lauryn Hill.
by the Fugees.
Because I said we're starting Ready or Not, and then Nicole goes off with lyrics, and there we go.
And I totally didn't know that you were recording, so hopefully we don't get any like.
It was like 5, 4, 3.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if a podcast for you singing is gonna flag us for like intellectual property, because you could do a live recording.
I mean, we just said who the song is by, so
yes, credit.
Yeah,
Lauryn Hill. She's from New Jersey.
It's just my version of it. All the Fugees are from New Jersey.
No, aren't some of them from Haiti? And
originally, but then they moved to New Jersey.
Right, they moved to New Jersey. Yes.
Yeah.
Where is she now?
Where is she? She just did a concert like a month ago, and apparently was like playing to like an almost empty stadium till like 3 a.m.
Really?
And like hardcore fans were like there for it, which I'm like, good for her.
I just feel like that was such a moment, right?
I mean, musically, she's a genius. Amazing voice. That album was like pure gold. Every song on it, a banger, perfection. But she has, speaking professionally, she has a history of some mental health problems. Hopefully she's doing better now. But I know that there were some issues at one point in time, allegedly. I'm not her provider. I don't know for sure. But that was what the rumor mill said. And it sounds like it works, but hopefully she's doing better now. And good for Lauren.
I just remember like Killing Me Softly was the first single, and has sampling or repeats something from a song from when our parents were younger. So my mom being like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Such a good artist. But I digress. So you had some fun things you wanted to talk to me about.
I literally took notes on the past 2 weeks since we haven't spoken, and I have talking points on the things I want to catch up.
I feel strangely important that you had to write down things to talk to me about.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, this is a great one. So we tell everyone we're Gen X, right? But we're like that border. We're Gen X, millennial border, Zennials.
We're geriatric millennials,
correct? Or young Gen Xers. But we were talking about this. My sister, my niece, who is up from North Carolina, and she's in her 30s. So technically she's a very young millennial.
Wait, your niece that I know?
Yeah.
She's in her 30s? I know she has a child, but God,
she's
30s.
33.
How is she 33 when we're only like 24? I don't understand it.
But my mother didn't know Gen X existed. And that's the most Gen X thing that could ever happen, because my mother's a boomer.
Yeah.
And my mother's a boomer, and my sister's a millennial, and my niece, and she literally, I'm like, between you and the millennials, it's a whole generation. And I thought it was the funniest thing, because my mom usually knows things, and I'm like, what do you mean?
Well, it's because in pure Gen X fashion, we have a lot of emotions. We've put up with a lot of crap, and we just don't give a fuck.
Right. We just put our head down and like do our thing.
Yeah.
It's just hysterical, because I was like, you really didn't know we existed. That's the most Gen X thing that could ever happen to anybody.
Maybe because we're the generation that, I don't want to say didn't do anything, but like we didn't like cause problems. We had a lot of feelings.
Right.
We voiced those feelings very loudly and through lots of interesting fashion choices. But like,
oh God,
we didn't do anything. We had to adapt. We had to adapt to the changes that our parents went through, and then we had to adapt to the changes that the younger generations go to. So we just had to keep it moving.
I guess so. I just thought it was hysterical, because I was like, really?
Yeah.
Now you have to ask your mom. Does she know?
Oh, I'm sure Deb knows. I'm sure she'll want to come on the podcast and tell us about how it doesn't matter what generation you are. It matters how you feel in your heart. That's not a direct quote, but she would say something to that effect.
It sounds about right.
Yeah.
Have you done anything fun in the past few weeks since we've spoken?
Wow. Well, I was supposed to do some fun stuff and then it didn't work out. But as you know, I was supposed to go to that Edgar Allan Poe speakeasy thing.
Yes.
And I was just very, very sick that day. So I didn't go, which is sad.
So sad.
And Deb was really disappointed. So I'm sorry, Deb. I will make it up to her. I know they do it every so often. So next time we'll make it happen. What else did I do? Oh, I almost broke myself gardening because apparently squatting and like pulling weeds is using a lot of muscles that I didn't know I had.
It is a weird thing.
Yeah. Like the hamstrings, like that's like the back of your thighs, right?
Yep.
I couldn't walk for like 5 days. And I kept saying to myself, like, something else has to be going on because this can't just be from just stretching, just like using my body.
What's funny is it's because it's like awkward positions and weird things that your body's not used to. Like you can do exercise and be like a different kind of sore, but you could do something like that and you're like, oh my God.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, look, I don't exercise a lot. That is clear for many reasons, but I can do squats. I can, run on a treadmill or walk on a treadmill for an hour. Like I can do exercise.
Right.
I just choose not to.
It's weird positions.
But then pulling some weeds and like sweeping up my back patio, like I literally, my receptionist at work, she was like, are you okay? Like she saw me, I didn't even say anything. She saw me walking in and was like, what happened to you? And it lasted like all of the week. And I was like, is this getting old? Like, cause this isn't fun. A little bit.
I mean, I threw my neck out sleeping. I mean,
that is true. Yes, you sleep weird, and then like you can't move for a month.
There was was it last week? Yeah, there was like 3 or 4 days where I couldn't turn my head to the left. I was like,
been there, yeah.
So I did a couple more like local to home. We live in a really cool area kind of things. So I had gone down to Atlantic Highlands, which is on the water and there's boats. New York City skyline's right there. Ate out at a restaurant, like walked around like by the boats and stuff. And then after dinner, we went up into the Atlantic Highlands to get ice cream at Nicholas Creamery. They have a couple locations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's one in Princeton.
As we're walking up, I'm showing my kids like, Kevin Smith, he's like a huge director. He's from this area. He actually bought this movie theater and he does like all kinds of indie films and stuff there. And as we're walking up and I'm telling my kids, he's walking in and I'm like, holy crap. Hi.
And your kids are like, who's this dude?
Right. So it was August 2nd. So this is going to come out in September. You people are going to be like, what are you talking about? Was his 55th birthday. Oh, wow. And there was a sign that said Kevin Smith, 50 effing 5 or something like that on the sign. And I Googled like it was his 55th birthday on that exact day. And they were having like a event.
Well, happy birthday, Kevin. Belated birthday from Medical Media Mixer to you.
Yes.
I know you're a big fan.
I'm the weirdo who was like, hey, I'm telling my kids about you.
Yeah. I mean, just iconic. They don't make people like that anymore.
Local, just creative. And then he's got the comic book store also in Red Bank.
Yes.
So close by. And they had the TV show Comic Book Masters for a while.
Well, there were rumors, and I don't know if this is true, that he had, I don't know if he purchased or he leased an abandoned mall and was going to do an update of that movie. Mallrats, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if that was just a rumor, though, but that was, I would say, at least a year ago that rumor was fishing around.
Right. I have to look it up because I follow him on some social media, and I know he's doing a lot of projects with his daughter. I think he wrote a comic book, and they were doing some re-release of Dogma.
Oh, Dogma is so good.
I know. Alanis Morissette.
Yeah. Selma Hayek. Like, everybody was in that. Everybody was in that, yeah. Such
Matt
a good
Damon.
movie. Yeah.
Matt Damon, who's featured in the movie that is in one of my topics for the next episode.
Oh, interesting. Well, we'll have to wait with bated breath for that.
But yeah, that was like just a random thing. Like at the moment I was telling my kids about him, he was walking in.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. He's a cool like local celebrity. Honestly, I'm surprised he hasn't been at Comic-Con before. Maybe he has.
He just posted something about Comic-Con online. I don't know if he's in this one or he's reposting something from last year or from San Diego. I don't know exactly, but I did see something recently in his socials.
Awesome. So cool.
Yeah, it's like local people stuff. And then today I just literally before coming here went to Boondocks in Red Bank, which is down in the marina where they have lobster night on
Ooh.
Tuesdays. It's like an outdoor, you order at the counter, they bring it to your table, like 2 lobster for it used to be like 29, it's probably like 30 something bucks, but still corn, potatoes, outside, Jimmy Buffett playing, boats.
That sounds
And
good.
I didn't eat full 2 lobsters, so we definitely took one home. But just like a little local, get out there, see our area.
Sorry, I just got like a flash. I know you don't watch Real Housewives, but I believe it was Real Housewives of Orange County. Somebody was having like a lobster bake at their house, and then there was a fight, and one lady was going to leave, and she's like, "I have to take the lobster." And that's what I thought of when you just said that. You have to take the lobster.
Apparently, my oldest child is now a 2 lobster child. I only ate one, and she ate 2, and I'm like, oh, geez.
Depends on the size, if there's not a lot of
To
meat
me,
in there.
it's a lot of work.
Yes, it's a lot of work.
I even have an injury. I have a little cut on my finger.
Oh my gosh.
Stabbing me.
Call a medic. You're in the right place where you can get treatment for that.
Oh my goodness. All right. So what do you got for us this week?
I've got a
Crazy
whirlwind.
stories?
Yes.
I know you said we were doing a trilogy of kidnappings.
So yes, we're doing a trilogy of kidnappings. They are not related. It just happened that there were 3 different things that I watched and had 3 different topics to talk about, but underlying all 3 of those things was kidnapping. So last time, or the time before last, on Medical Media Mixer, the perfect cocktail, Dr. Nicole Peniston discussed the Chowchilla kidnapping, the Chowchilla bus kidnapping in California in the 70s. So this tale that I'm going to tell also takes place in the 70s, but this is taking place in a different part of the country, and it's a totally different story. So I'm going to talk about my cocktail first. My cocktail is... The title is not a spoiler this time, which I was so proud of myself for. So the cocktail is called the Innocent One Mimosa. I did not have a champagne flute, so I put it in a glass, which honestly I prefer because it's easier to drink. So the Innocent One cocktail, which is a mimosa, is 1.3 ounces of Prosecco, 1.5 ounces of orange juice, 1.5 ounces of sparkling ice pomegranate blueberry. Are you a sparkling ice fan? It's like that drink.
Is it like, that? I think it's like a clear bottle.
The tall,
I can
thin
picture
bottle.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently, I found this recipe and I was like, this sounds good. I'm going to make this. They discontinued this particular flavor.
Oh.
I went to like 6 stores for it.
Geez. Working hard.
But then what I did, because I'm a genius, I'm so smart.
You are.
Crystal Light had a little like powder packet of pomegranate blueberry.
Wow.
And I mixed it with club soda.
So smart.
To make my own thing.
That's why we keep you.
Yeah. And you're supposed to garnish it with mint leaves. I didn't have mint, so I put a little orange in there, if you can see it. Orange slice.
Garnish.
Yeah. So you just pour it all in a glass and drink it. Like, it's pretty basic. So I'm going to talk today about the documentary and the biographical crime drama miniseries. So the documentary is called Abducted in Plain Sight. Did you see this WTF moment?
I don't remember. I've seen so many things. So once you tell the story, I might. I don't
If
remember.
You haven't seen it, hold on to your panties because there's a lot going on in this. So it originally came out in 2017, but it really, really got traction, I would say 2021, like nearing the end of the pandemic. Everybody's at home watching stuff. And it was on Netflix in 2019. So I guess 2020, once the pandemic hit, people were watching this and the meme world went wild.
I must know. I once you tell the story, I'm really like, oh yeah, I know that one.
Well, I'll put it this way. You can look up the memes because they are pure entertainment. That being said, this is a family that was severely traumatized. So I don't want to make fun of these people.
Right.
But just the way that they phrase things or some of the facial expressions in the documentary are definitely like meme worthy. Like, I get why it was a meme, especially there's one very popular meme that you will see where it's a meme of this girl's father. I'll get into who's who in a minute. But he's basically like, and that is not the appropriate expression for what he had just said in the documentary, which I will say later because it's a spoiler alert. But he's like, and you're like, a little bit more than that, dude. But okay, what else? So Abducted in Plain Sight is the documentary. It was a 2017 true crime documentary that came onto Netflix in 2019. It is based on a story first told in the book Stolen Innocence, My Innocent One Cocktail, the Jan Broberg story, which was published by Jan and her mother in 2003. So the story has been out there for a while. And then in 2022, Peacock started a miniseries, much like how they did for your story about Natalia Grace. They did their own scripted miniseries. This was called A Friend of the Family, and it was a miniseries about the same exact story. There's really no big changes in the two stories, so I'm going to focus mostly on the documentary just because that's the factual representation of it. But the drama, they pretty much stay pretty close to the story. In the drama, there's some familiar faces, though. Colin Hanks, and that's Tom Hanks' son, if you didn't know.
Wait, isn't he a rapper?
No.
Somebody's son is a rapper, like who's like a serious actor.
Colin Hanks is an actor. You're thinking of I'm ashamed of you. It's not Colin Hanks though. Well, I'm not going to say that. Colin Hanks plays the dad. Anna Paquin plays the mom.
Oh, yeah, Anna Paquin.
And then you may know this name, or it might sound familiar. McKenna Grace. She's a young actress. She's been in a lot of stuff. She plays Jan Broberg at a different age. They have several children playing her throughout the years because this does happen over several years. And also Jake Lacey. When I saw him, I was like, wait, isn't he that dude? He's just one of those actors that looks a lot like another actor. So I thought it was Nicholas Hoult.
Okay.
That actor. He's been in like some of the X-Men movies and other stuff. He looks a lot like him. He's not him. He's somebody else. But anyway, an actor that you've seen before is also in this.
Doppelganger.
Yeah, basically. I mean, they're both good looking guys and they're both good actors. So good for them. So the plot, because they're both shows, it follows the Broberg family. So Jan is the daughter. She is the main character per se. And this happens in Idaho in the 1970s. So I'm going to go through the story and I'm just going to hit the highlights because there's so many crazy things that happen and so many details that it would take like over an hour just to tell the story. And ain't nobody got time for that. So Jan lives in Idaho with her parents and her two sisters. Their community that they live in is Mormon. I believe it's actually FLDS, but they never specify in either the documentary or the movie. They do just say it's a very religious town. They do talk about Mormonism, but I don't know if it's a different sect of Mormonism, as we've talked about in other episodes. Mm-hmm. So they live in this small town. It's very idyllic, very 1970s. Nobody locks their doors. You're friends with your neighbors, everything like that. And so they have someone move down the street from them, a new family, the Birchhold family. And so they both end in B. So Robert Birchhold is the bad guy in this story, their neighbor. But the father's name is also Robert Broberg. So we're just going to call the bad guy what they call him throughout the documentary and the show, which is Brother B. And brother comes along because they're all part of the same congregation at church. So Brother B and his family, he has a wife and two boys. They move into the neighborhood and they're doing as they do when you move into a new neighborhood, trying to meet new friends. They had seen these people at church, the Broberg family. And so they decide they're going to get their kids together. They're about the same age, have their kids hang out. You know, the wives can chat with each other. The dads can bro out together, you know, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what middle-aged men do when they hang out together. Watch football or something, I guess. So they decide that this is like a great match. They'll just be friends. So they meet at church. And then Birchhold, Brother B, invites the Brobergs over to his house to meet his family and kind of just, you know, even though he's new to the neighborhood, he's like, yeah, come on over. We'll host you, whatever. So they go over and he has set out a picnic in their living room on the floor, like with a big blanket and stuff like that. And, you know, the kids are like, oh, this is cool. And everybody's having a good old time and sitting and chatting. And then Brother B singles out Jan almost immediately. In the not the documentary, in the movie, they show him immediately honing in on Jan at church, like when he first sees her. In the documentary, it seems like it's a little bit more of a progression. But so he sees Jan and, you know, they're having their little picnic in his house. And he's like, oh, wait, weren't you like in a play? I think we saw that play. And she's like, oh, yeah, I was the lead in Oliver. So he wants her to go sing a song from the show. And she's like, okay, but I have to practice. Cause you know, she's like a little girl. She's like 9 years old. She's like, okay, I have to practice first. So her and all the kids go into another room where she's going to practice her song before singing for the adults. And this really, really strange thing happens, which is relevant. I'm not just telling the story for fun, where essentially Brother B's wife, I'm blanking on her name. She's not that important to this story. Sorry. But she essentially starts to tell a story. Now, keep in mind, this is the 70s and this is a family who is Mormon. She starts to tell a story about how her father allegedly saw a UFO and aliens. And so everybody's kind of confused. They're like, well, what happened? And it kind of like ends in like a little bit of a joke in the show where Jan's mom is like, so basically he says that they saw a UFO and their car stalled and they couldn't leave and the UFO got closer and closer and closer. And then they don't remember what happened and then it flew away. And Jan's mother's like, well, what happened to the car? How did you get home? And it's like, she's so like innocent and like sweet. And it's like, really? That's your takeaway from that story?
Question.
Yeah. And I will say so the mom is not in the documentary very much. She's in it a little bit, but it's mostly the dad and Jan in the documentary. But in the film, you see a lot more of the mom's personality, and she's just very innocent, very sweet, very loving, but also very kind of stereotypical housewife of the 1970s. Like what the husband says goes, and if she tries to ruffle feathers, like she's going to get yelled at and blah, blah, blah. So that comes up because what happens shortly after this picnic meeting is that Brother B says he wants to take Jan horseback riding. Just Jan, not the other kids, not his own kids. He wants to take Jan horseback riding. Now, Jan loves horses because what 9-year-old girl doesn't? So he's like, yeah, I'm going to pick her up from her music class and we're going to go horseback riding. And the dad is like, hell to the no. He doesn't say it like that because he's a religious man, but essentially he's like, no. And then Brother B keeps pushing. He's like, I said no. Like, no, you are not taking her. We have plans for tonight. I think his plans were like, we were going to eat dinner and have a puzzle. And it was like so cute. But like, he's like, no, like you can't take my child. So then Brother B goes around the dad and talks to the mom and essentially convinces her. And I'm putting it just like that for now because we find out exactly what this convincing comes out to be later. Convinces her to let him take Jan horseback riding after her piano lesson. So he goes and he picks her up from the piano teacher's house and they disappear 4 weeks at a time. And they finally find him in Mexico where he has married 9-year-old Jan.
This is familiar. I think I've definitely.
Yeah. So, they, at first they don't call the police. And so Brother B's wife comes over to the family and was like, she basically alludes to him having bipolar disorder or some sort of mental health disorder where he's very impulsive. And so she was basically saying like, he's been stressed a lot at work because, we just moved and he started a new job. And, maybe it's just, you know how he gets. Like sometimes he just gets really excited about something. So maybe that's what he did. And she tells a story about how apparently Brother B had taken all of the children, his 2 boys and the 3 girls, to a circus somewhere and then got so excited that like they essentially had to stay overnight because it was like so late. So it's like there's a lot of odd things going on that are already getting passed by. So Jan is missing. Her parents are freaking out, but Brother B's wife convinces him not to call the police.
Really?
Yeah. So then the mom is like, I don't know, like I'm really not comfortable with this. And meanwhile, the mom and the dad are fighting because he's like, I told you not to let her go and you let her go and look what happened. So there's a lot of conflict between the two of them over this, which I think makes sense. If your child's missing, you're going to be upset. Yeah. So then the mom, and again, remember this is the 1970s, 1972, I believe. The mom decides she's going to call the FBI office. And she calls them, and it's Friday night, and they have an answering machine that says to call back on Monday.
Oh, no.
The FBI! Call back on Monday.
Call back on Monday.
WTF. So they call back on Monday, and then there proceeds to be this big manhunt and everything. They get Brother B's brother, his literal brother, involved because apparently he's been calling his brother, asking for help, for money, for stuff like that. And so they get his brother in on it, trying to get his brother to triangulate him so they can find him and extradite him back. Long story short, they find him, they find Jan, and they bring her back to the U.S. And the FBI is telling the family, like, look, like she may not be the same. We don't know what he's doing with her. Just even being away from your family this long, like she may have a little bit of a different personality. So they literally have to go to a Mexican prison to pick her up.
Wow.
Yeah. So they go and, she runs to her mother and for a hug, and then the father tries to give her a hug and she won't let the father touch. So they're like, okay, that's weird. Like they used to like have a good father-daughter relationship. Like something's off. So then they go home, and Jan just isn't the same for a very long time. She's very secretive. She doesn't want to do things. She's having some nightmares, and they keep asking her, like, did anything happen? What happened? And she's like, no, nothing happened. Nothing happened. Guess what? Jan's not telling the truth.
Of course.
Because he brainwashed her into thinking that aliens identified her as part alien, that her mother is a human, but her real father is part alien. And she's been put on this earth to carry out a mission to make more alien babies so it can save their alien planet. And who is she supposed to have alien babies with?
Brother B.
With Brother B. Yes.
Oh my God.
So this little girl is fully in. And part of what she was told was that she can't tell anyone about this mission, that if she doesn't carry out the mission, her younger sister will be the one responsible for carrying out the mission. So now she's trying to protect her sister. So this goes on for a very long time. So even though now this is the crazy part. So FBI is involved. They extradite them back to the US. They return her to her family. Brother B doesn't get any jail time.
What?
Yeah.
We just walked off with a child and took him to another country, and obviously.
So apparently part of it is because Jan insists that nothing happens, that they were just on a camping trip or something like that, which I'm like, whatever. Again, the 70s. Problematic. An interesting part of the documentary is the FBI agent who is in charge of the case. He is in the documentary. He is a personality. And he just tells it like it is. And he's like, let's look at the context. It's 1972. I've been an FBI investigator, investigate murders, typically not kidnappings, especially not kidnappings with a sexual thing. He's like, we didn't even know the word pedophile.
Wow.
He's like, it was something that was brand new and wasn't being used in police departments or the FBI all over the place. He's like, so we didn't know what to look out for, but I knew this dude was bad. I knew something was not okay.
Something I read or I saw recently, like there was like a year where kidnapping became an FBI thing versus, I don't remember what I was watching, but there was a point in time because prior to that, it was considered just local, whatever department. And then it became an FBI thing if it's kidnapping.
So it depends. If the kidnapper takes the child within the same district, it stays local or state. But if they take them out of state or out of the country, that's when it becomes federal. But at any point, the local or state authorities can call in the FBI for help. They're allowed to do that. Just, they're not going to automatically swoop in unless called or unless there's that interstate or international component of it. Jan's back at home. Things aren't going so well for her. And I believe it's about 3 years, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So about 4 years later when she, I believe, is either 14 or 15, she essentially has been having contact with Brother B this whole time. So essentially, he doesn't get much time. I think he might get like 30 days in jail, something very small, very minimal, not long lasting. But he's still living nearby and still living in the area. And so he's still trying to essentially get his hooks in Jan. And then at some point he moves out of state. He makes it seem like it's for business reasons. But essentially he moves out of state, so everybody takes a big sigh of relief. Oh, he's gone, it's fine. Well, he and Jan have still been having contact, writing love letters to each other. And so then Jan decides she wants to go out of state for the summer and work at his children's amusement park that he has purchased.
Okay.
Yeah. And her parents say no, understandably. And, I skipped a part. I'll go back to that. And essentially she runs away to spend the summer with him. So that's problematic. But I want to circle back because I forgot about something. So the meme. We find out at some point while Jan is missing, and I might be getting the timeline a little bit messed up, but it doesn't matter because this part's important. We find out that Brother B was not only having sex with Jan or forcing sex on Jan because you can't have consensual relationships. He was also having sex with the father and the mother.
What?
Both of them. He was screwing the whole family.
What?
Yeah. I don't think the other two daughters were involved. At least no one has ever spoken of that. So I'm going to hope that they were not involved. But essentially, Brother B was manipulating the mother because they didn't necessarily have a very active sex life. In the movie, they do show them trying some fun things in bed, being a little zany. But even how that comes about is weird. So basically the father comes home one night and, they're laying in bed together and he's like, ooh, you want to try something fun? And she's like, ooh, okay. And they proceed to have oral sex. And then he says that Brother B told him how to do it.
Okay.
I'd be like, why are you talking to Brother B about what we do in our bedroom?
Oh my goodness.
So apparently Brother B taught him to have oral sex with his wife.
Okay.
I'm just reporting the facts, folks. I'm not making this stuff up. I wish I was. So that's the first thing where you're like, what's going on between Bob and Brother B? I don't know. We later find out that Brother B essentially coerced him into a sexual relationship by saying that Brother B's wife doesn't satisfy him and he really needs help. So the dad, Bob, gives him a handy and proceeds from there. Meanwhile, remember how I said how he talked Jan's mom into letting her go horseback riding? It's because he was giving it to Jan's mom too. Yes. Now, I believe that their sexual relationship didn't start until after she returned from the kidnapping, but it's alluded to that there was a lot of flirtation,
So after you stole my child, I am now attracted and ready to go for it. Did she believe the alien stuff? I'm so confused.
So the parents didn't know about the alien stuff. No one knows about the alien stuff at this point, except for Jen and Brother B. Nobody knows about the alien stuff. And what comes up was that they had some difficulty in their marriage. They weren't always intimate, and that she just felt very neglected and basically like poor neglected housewife. Hey, this guy next door wants to sleep with me. Let me go he's not sexually satisfied in his marriage. Let's just have some fun. Now, in the movie, the guy that plays Brother B is pretty handsome. So I could see how Anna Paquin would be like, yes, sir. Thank you. But in real life, I'm not seeing it. I don't know. I'm not seeing it. But they show these real life people in the documentary, and none of them are so hot that you need to go sleep with the man who abducted your child. I don't understand.
Pretty sure,
but it's a whole thing.
Okay.
So now it comes to light that everybody's sleeping with everyone. And I'm saying this in this order because this is kind of how it comes out in the documentary, where it's a lot of back and forth, like, oh, well, this happened before or this happened after. Also, we come to find out at some point that Brother B admitted to having a sexual addiction and told the Brobergs that his therapist told him that in order to get over a sexual addiction, he had to sleep in the same bed as Jan. And they allowed it.
Something.
So they allowed it. They allowed a grown man to sleep in their daughter's bed with her for an undisclosed amount of time, but definitely more than once. And then apparently at some point while he was sleeping in the same bed with her, he was playing tapes. So let's harken back to the 70s when people used to play tapes to sleep to for subliminal messaging, maybe to quit smoking or to
records back then.
Well, no, they had cassette tapes, like the little plastic cassette
8 tracks.
Maybe it was an 8-track. I don't know. So anyway, he's playing tapes at night, which he says are to help him break his sexual addiction. Turns out more than likely, and this is never confirmed for sure, but the whole alien thing, when he had kidnapped her, he was playing tapes of the alien speaking to her. So I would not doubt if those same tapes were being played when he was sleeping in the same bed with her.
This is so creepy.
Yeah, super creepy. It gets worse. So buckle up. So now, where are we? So Jan is in, I believe it's Washington State, working the summer at his amusement park that he owns. And she doesn't want to come home. And her parents are like, no, you're coming home. Like, you shouldn't have been there in the first place, but you're already there. We know where you are. And so then she kind of like disappears again. And Brother B changes her name and enrolls her in a Catholic school, a Catholic boarding school, and tells the nuns that he works for the FBI and he's working on it's not the Cuban Missile Crisis. Wasn't there some political thing with Nicaragua in the 70s? Yes. I don't remember all the details. This is not important to the story. But basically, he tells the nuns that if you can't get a hold of me, it's because I'm this. Like, you can't tell anyone her true identity. She's in witness protection. Blah, blah, blah. So now she's at this school for a very long time and can't tell anyone anything. And then Brother B happens to tell her, well, one of the nuns here is actually an alien and is looking out for you. So then she's trying to figure out which nun is the alien. This poor girl. And at this point, she's now like 16 years old. So it's like, whatever. So essentially now the family is like, she won't come home. We don't know where she's at. Brother B tells them that she's selling herself in the streets for crack. Or for some sort of drugs. And they're like, that doesn't add up. That's not the Jan that we know. And he's like, well, she's a very different person now. So they're trying to find her, and they call up their good friend, the FBI agent from before. And in the documentary, best part of the documentary, he's literally like, they kidnapped her again? The same dude? You know who did it? What the fuck? Like, why are you talking to this person? Like, his guy is like, you literally watch his brain explode as he retells the story, because he's like, WTF, what did you do? Like, And he essentially says it. He's like, they're very nice people, but like they have to be the most naive and trusting people on earth to let this happen a second time with someone they already know.
Yeah. Jeez.
Long story short, they bring Jan home, and she's definitely not herself. Like, she's refusing to go to parties. She's refusing to go to dances at school. She's constantly on edge and fearful because she thinks at this. So she was supposed to fulfill this mission by her 16th birthday. And so now she's 16 and she's not pregnant with an alien baby.
Mm-hmm.
And Brother B is TBD. She doesn't know where he is. She rarely hears from him anymore. So she is convinced that either the aliens are going to take her baby sister and make her baby sister carry an alien baby, or that just everyone she loves is going to die. So on her 16th birthday, I think this was just made up for the TV show, 2 of her dogs get sick. And she's like, this is it. This is the end. Like, this is how it starts.
Aww.
So she's freaking out, and she goes and she gets a gun, and she plans to kill her younger sister to save her. So again, this part is only in the movie. I don't know how dramatized it is. Although Jan herself did help in the production of the movie. So I doubt she'd put anything in there that was like wildly untrue.
Right.
But she has a gun and she goes into her sister's bedroom and she's literally about to shoot her. Like, she has her finger on the trigger and she's going to kill her sister, and her sister's back is to her, and she turns around and she says, like, I just see my sister's face. I can't do it. I can't kill her. I have to like figure this out. And so slowly over time, she starts to think like, okay, well, the dogs are fine. They were just sick. They ate like some plants or something. So the dogs were fine. Like, nothing's happened to her sister. Oh, apparently her other sister was going to go deaf or blind. Like, her mother was going to die. Like, all these terrible things were going to happen if she didn't complete the mission. And as time goes on, she realizes like, wait, these things aren't happening. Like,
right.
Like, yeah, I'm still scared, but like these things that they told me that were going to happen didn't happen. And she finally, kind of by coercion, her sisters are looking for something in her stuff, and they find a journal where she wrote about the aliens and about what happened with Brother B. And so her sisters tell their mother, and then they all sit down and confront, no, it's just the sisters at this point. They talk with her and they get her to confess, and then they encourage her to tell the parents. And she does tell the parents about this abuse. And it turns out that between the ages of, I believe it's 9 and 16, they had sex like over hundreds of times. And luckily, thank God, she never gotten pregnant.
Right.
But she's like, we tried a lot.
Wow.
And I'm like, no, we didn't try anything. He was abusing you. Like, you know.
Oh my God.
So then the movie goes more into her recovery, about how she was in therapy. Fun fact, in the movie, the woman who plays the therapist is Jan Broberg. So she plays her own therapist, fun. Which is very sweet. So she learns through art therapy, through talk therapy, how to work through her trauma and recover. And eventually she comes to write this book with her mother. And then the book gets published. Finally, at some point, Brother B gets caught for molesting another child. And so then Jan goes and testifies at his trial. There are YouTube clips of her testifying at the trial. It is like peak queen status. She was like, you owe me an apology. You did this to me. You should not get away. Like, she full out confronted him without fear. Like, I'm sure she was scared, but like, she sounds so powerful and just like put that man in his place. So it's really nice to see her redeem herself. But then it gets a little crazy, a little wonky, because now she's on this book tour with her mother, going to book signings. And guess who shows up at a book signing? But Brother B.
God.
And he's outside and he starts trying to harass her or whatever. So they get him to leave. But then, because Jan is a true queen, she hires the Hells Angels to protect her book signings. So then Brother B comes along to another one. He's trying to get inside. He can't. He actually accidentally runs over one of the Hells Angels and seriously injures him. And that's eventually why he gets put in prison.
Like, why was this man not in jail? I don't understand. Oh my God.
Yeah. So he gets put in jail. We do find out over the course of his trials that there are several other children that he had sexually taken advantage of over the years. And a lot of times it was very similar, where he would ingratiate himself with the mother or the grandmother or the aunt or somebody like that to get to the child. So he was really just screwing everybody he could to get to the children. And they were all young girls, young prepubescent, early adolescent, teenage girls. And it was many of them. And then what happens is he gets sent to prison for that, and he realizes, like, hey, I'm never going to get out, and he commits suicide in prison.
Oh, you
so he doesn't.
I wish you rot. Like,
yeah, he doesn't really get what he deserves from that.
Coward.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And so that is the crazy ass story. I'm sure there were other crazy parts that I didn't include because it is a roller coaster
It's
ride.
a lot.
It's
It's
a
crazy.
lot. It's a lot. But as I said, there is the book Stolen Innocence, the Jan Broberg story, written by Jan and her mother, Marianne. That's the mom's name. And it just talks about everything from the course of events of what happened, but also the recovery and what she's done moving forward to help protect other children. And Jan Broberg herself actually started the Jan Broberg Foundation, which is helping children heal from child sexual abuse. So it does a lot of community outreach, education, legislation to protect children. It's a really, really cool website. It'll be linked in the show notes, but it has pictures of Jan at the ages that she was abused. And it's like so sad to see these little girls go through this. But there's a lot of information on here about how to spot grooming, how to protect your children, how to keep the lines of communication open. And I love it that she doesn't call herself a survivor. She calls herself a thriver. So she's thriving as she's surviving. And it's just really cool that she's got so much stuff. She also has her own podcast, the Jan Broberg Show podcast. So we'll link that in the show notes too. But she's talked with the cast and the crew of The Family, of A Friend of the Family, the TV show. She's talked about survivors and stories of childhood sexual abuse, what happened, and how people survive and thrive and move forward. So she's got some really great content out there on her website, and you can donate there too if you want to donate to that. And she just got a lot of stuff going on. Like there's Thriviver events every Saturday, every Monday, and then scheduled events. So it's a big community that she's trying to build because unfortunately there are many children out there who've experienced this and need that healing and support. So I'm glad that she's creating that community for everyone. So what am I going to talk about that's psychologically related? It's essentially the incidents of childhood sexual abuse and then how to get support for that. So I don't need to define it. Everybody knows what it is. A child is a minor and someone who cannot consent to sexual contact. So anytime someone who is an adult is having any sort of sexual contact with a child, that is considered child sexual abuse. We used to use different terms for things, but that's the current term. Just like, for example, we don't call it child pornography anymore. We call it child sexual abuse material. So we're changing a lot of the language around it to take some of the onus off of the children because they are not responsible for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's also a really good article from Vanity Fair about the TV show, not the documentary, that I linked. But it is an interview with Jan herself. So you get a little bit more of her personal story and how she feels about the documentary and all that stuff. Just scrolling through that. I think that was it. So the scope of the problem, some scary statistics. So 60...
I know it's a lot higher than you would even imagine, right?
1,000 children were victims of substantiated or indicated sexual abuse. So that's when an agency stepped in and said, yes, this is actually happening. How many children can we think of that it did happen? They reported it. Or, they didn't report it, or they reported it and they weren't believed, or the investigation didn't show anything. Yeah. In the general public, 133,648 Americans, 12 and older, were sexually assaulted or raped. So that's 12 and older. So think of the statistics for younger kids. Every 68 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. 1 out of every 6 American women has been the victim of an attempted or completed rape in her lifetime. About 3% of American men have experienced an attempted or completed rape in their lifetime. So it's not just a problem. It's not just a lady problem. Everyone's at risk. And true predators, they do not care. They're just going to find a victim. The majority of child victims are between the ages of 12 and 17, but they can be much younger, as we are aware of. The majority of sexual assaults occur at or near the victim's home. So in their home, in an open public space, or at or near a relative's home. Less likely on school property, but that's not unheard of. Those are my stats. I'm not going to go too deep because it's a very sad and depressing topic, but it's important to know that this is something that's real and it's happening, and there's people out there who need support and understanding, and they deserve it. We should give it to them. So I will be linking RAIN. That is, I always forget what RAIN stands for because it used to stand for something else. Rape and Incest National Network. That's what it used to stand for, I believe. I know that we don't necessarily use those same terms anymore. But RAIN has been along for a long time, and they have a helpline that you can call or chat 24/7 for help. Then also, there's a really great website called enoughabuse.org where they have survivor supports and resources for survivors of child sexual abuse. So these are survivors at any age, whether it's a child needing support immediately or an adult who's ready to seek support or discuss what happened to them. And so this is a great website because they've got resources not only in English, but in other languages as well. And there's a really great community called 1 in 6, which is identifying that 1 in 6 people have experienced sexual abuse at some point. So that's a really great support group. After Silence is another website where it's helping victims become survivors and communicating about their recovery and empowerment to educate others as well as their own families and supporters. The American Psychological Association has a practice locator for professional psychologists who are trained in working with survivors of childhood sexual abuse. Lots of therapists will do that work, but some people have specialized in it and done extra training in that. So
that's good to know. Yeah, that there's somebody who actually has done that extra training. I feel like we've come a long way, I'm sure, from the 70s to now as far as how they treat them.
Definitely. And I think now, hopefully, we're a little bit more aware of the signs of grooming. I think the big concern now is online grooming, especially if it's, in chat rooms or people posing as someone else, not really catching on to those things. There's a really good documentary. I forget the name of it. That's not true. It is The Girl Who Was Three Boys, and it takes place in England, I believe. Yes, in Wales. And it is a girl who's a teenage girl who she essentially catfishes other girls, but pretending to be 3 separate boys, and is catfishing them to the point of where she's dressing up as a male and having sexual contact with these girls. And these girls don't know, because a lot of them, it's their first sexual experience, or it's in the dark and they don't know what's happening. Right. And so it is something that can happen not just with an adult to a child, but children amongst each other can engage in this inappropriate sexual contact that can be dangerous. So just being aware of what your kids are doing, who they're talking to. Most teenagers are not going to tell their parents everything, but just educating your teenager on when something feels uncomfortable or something doesn't feel right, that's when to ask for help.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of other really great websites on here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they will be linked in the show notes, because there's literally probably about 50, 60 websites for online support services for survivors. And they have very specific ones. So ones about that are more faith-based, ones that are linking to books, ones that are talking about specific family sexual abuse, so incest. There's lots of specific stuff out there, but it's a really important thing to be aware of, and to be a supporter of someone who's been through that. If they're willing to tell you their story, just listening and being as empathetic as you can. It's not necessarily something you can fix by saying the right words, but sometimes just bearing witness to someone can be enough. Validating someone's experience can be really powerful, especially for someone who's maybe never talked about it before.
Right. I mean, just knowing that there's people around you, that's a very, very strong number, 1 in 6. So there's people around you every single day who've gone through this, and maybe they don't speak about it, but trying to think about the way you act, or the way you talk about things, because it really could affect them as well.
Yeah. And on the RAIN website, they actually have a full section on tech-enabled sexual abuse that they put up for Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month, which I don't know which month that was. Oh, I'm so bad. Let me click on here to see if it tells me what month it is. It doesn't say what month it is, but it's a month, and it's something that we should be aware of.
Yeah. I'm sure the internet and social media and Snapchat and all these things have blown up a whole different perspective on, a whole different set of things you need to be scared about.
Yes. Well, I think also too, like you were alluding to before, who do you go to? Do you go to your local police? Do you go to someone else? Who do you talk to about this? Who's the one that intervenes? What happens if you go to them and they don't believe you? Do you give up the fight there, or do you keep advocating for yourself? So just being aware of what your local resources are for yourself, but also for others. God forbid it never happens to you, but if it does, knowing where to go, or if it happens to a loved one, knowing where to bring them so they can feel supported.
I mean, and always you can go to a medical provider of any type,
absolutely,
and they can assist you through that. And the emergency rooms also have specific protocols for that if it's something that happened very recently. And I really do think nowadays, I would hope, as far as in police and that kind of aspect, that the not believing is a lot less. I would hope, but
I would hope. I think it depends on where we're at, who we're working with. We can say all that we want about the people who have failed, but for every, one cop who dismissed someone, there's 5 or 6 others out there who believed and fought for those victims.
Right.
So I don't want to, make sweeping statements, but sometimes it's just who you're talking to. For everyone who's listening, if you need to know, the National Sexual Assault Hotline is free, confidential, and 24-hour a day, 7 days a week support at 800-656-HOPE. They also have a WhatsApp chat, an online chat, or you can text HOPE to 64673.
No, I think the text feature is great now too.
Yes.
I think people feel more comfortable with that to start, at least to get the things rolling.
And that's the other thing too. I think a lot of people take for granted context. If you're living with your abuser, or if you're in the same room with them and you need help, you can send a text and maybe they won't catch on to that. So,
that's good.
Or do a WhatsApp chat. But there are people out there willing and waiting to help. So just finding the courage to reach out for help. That's really the first step. And just realizing, and I'm sure lots of people do, but realizing that it is not okay. Despite what you've been told or things like that, it is not okay. And there are people to support you. Yeah.
If you feel uncomfortable, something's not right. If you feel uncomfortable, that's it. The end.
Exactly. And then just speaking with people you trust about it. If you're unsure, talk to somebody that you trust and they can help you figure out what to do or where to go.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a bummer.
Well, it was a crazy story because it sounded fun because it was like old in the 70s, and we're aliens. But
after that, everything you ever wanted and more.
After that, it became a bummer. But I'm glad we could at least provide great information for people out there and hopefully continue to help with the awareness. So that's the positive.
Yeah. And then, like I said, there's a lot of memes out there because a lot of crazy stuff happens, but I think it's looking at the context. It was the 70s. This was a religious family who they were just trusting. And yes, they were naive, but it's not the parents' fault that this happened. Could they have done a couple things to protect her? Probably. But in their hearts, they weren't acting in malice. And I think after the movie came out on Netflix and it really made a splash, I think there was a lot of negativity directed towards the parents. And I felt like in the long run, that's not helping anyone. This happens how many years ago? They can't go back and change it. I'm sure they beat themselves up enough as it is.
I'm sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's my story for today.
All right. So thank you for listening to Medical Media Mixer.
The perfect cocktail. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Medical Media Mixer podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps others find the show. Want to keep the conversation going? Follow us on social media. We're at Medical Media Mixer Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and on Pinterest, the Medical Media Mixer board.
If you'd like to support the show and help us grow, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Medical Media Mixer Podcast. And on Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com/Medical Media Mixer Podcast. If you have a topic idea, feedback, or just want to say hi, send us an email at medicalmediamixer@gmail.com. You can also stream all of our episodes and find more info on our website, medicalmediamixer.podbean.com. We're available on all major podcast platforms, so no matter where you listen, we're there. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep mixing medicine and media.